Man, can you guys believe we beat Pet the Illuminate in only 2 days? Yeah, and we only lost 27 million Helldivers. Wait, we lost 27 million? Ah, don't worry about it, we got more. The Illuminate are back in the galaxy of Helldivers, and they are terrifying to deal with, as can be seen in this clip here, where I'm floundering against a walker and screaming like a little baby. I'm gonna throw a strat at it. But it's not exactly a surprise that the Illuminate have returned to the galaxy. We kind of knew they were going to come back because not only were they a faction in the first game, but we've been getting periodic leaks here and there over the past few months about Illuminate models, little Illuminate things showing up in the game. And today, I want to cover how close some of those leaks were to what we have in the game, and use those Illuminate leaks to look at what kind of enemies we might get in the future. So first things first, I want to take a look at the leaks that very obviously turned into an enemy we fight in the game today. Now, I will say up front, these are not new leaks that have come out in the past couple days. These are leaked game models from about 5-6 months ago. I previously made a video on these, and I looked at how I thought the Illuminate were going to come back. I was mostly wrong, but there's a little bit right in there. If you're going to check that out, it's fun for posterity's sake. Now, the most common enemy you face when you're fighting the Illuminate are called the Voteless. They're hordes of Super Earth citizens that have been turned into zombies and turned against the Helldivers. I think that this weird goat, bird, forearm, claw monstrosity thing that was leaked a long time ago ended up turning into the Voteless. Now, this does not look like human in any respect, and it doesn't really look like the Voteless either, but the reason I say that is because of the claws. This has the exact same claws that the Voteless do when they're swiping at you. They're really distended, big claws. I think that as Arrowhead was developing the Illuminate and working out ideas for them, they originally were going to go with a plan of having it be just a truly Illuminate fleet that attacks, and they had these monstrosities to attack Helldivers with. But as they developed the story, they wanted to work in the story element where the Illuminate were capturing humans and turning them into zombies. They thought, you know what, we've got this model already that has these really big claws on it. What if we just took a human model, gave it these massive claws, and made it look a little zombie? I think that's how we wound up with the Voteless we have today. Hey, psst. For every like on this video, I'm gonna elongate this Overseer. Oh, look, he's getting longer. Ooh, keep liking the video, he's getting longer. All right, back to the video. The next leak we have is for an enemy you've probably run into, and that's the Overseer. They're the really big, beefy guys holding the staff and the energy shield. These Overseers tend to act as, well, overseers of all the Voteless. Usually if you have a big swarm of Voteless zombies, you'll have 1 to 2 Overseers leading them. Now, I think the leaked model that became these Overseers is this one here. You could tell pretty clearly by that staff, this is what was intended from it, but you'll notice it looks very different. This leaked model here is a lot skinnier, doesn't have as much armor, and it's got that weird halo thing behind its head. And most importantly, has a second set of arms. And the fact that our current Overseers don't have a second set of arms are something that I really want to dig into, because this gets into a very interesting theory. There's been some speculation online that since this Overseer does not have 2 sets of arms, and it is said that all Squith have 2 sets of arms, no matter how high-ranking or low-ranking they are, that these are not true Illuminate, and they're just more advanced brainwashed Super Earth citizens. Well, I can see how this theory would make sense. I don't think that it's true. We have here a pretty darn high-res image of the Overseer. Now, you'll see, obviously, they've got 2 arms there, pretty heavily armored, got the giant spear like we're used to seeing. But I think they actually do have another set of arms, but it's just hidden right now. If you look at the middle piece of his armor, there's a large bulge kind of around the midsection. I think that is actually an extra set of arms encased in armor right now. In older versions of the Illuminate from the first Helldivers game, and in some of these leaked images I've already shown, that second set of arms looks a lot smaller and a lot more flimsy. They probably really aren't a great benefit to them in combat, so it may make more sense to just protect them under this armor and keep them close to them if they're not going to be using them in a fight. In the first Galactic War, the Illuminate were more likely than not surprised by the expansion of Super Earth and weren't quite ready for a fight. They weren't a really militaristic society. But now in the Second Galactic War, they have had 100 years to prepare new technologies built specifically to fight against Super Earth. And I think that this new armor development is part of that. They want to protect those individual soldiers' smaller arms that could very easily be damaged during combat. Now, for the next 2 enemies I covered, I'm going to go through them a little quickly because their leaked version before and what they are now is very obviously what they developed into, and there's not too much to talk about. Our first one we've got here, you can see this looks a whole lot like the Watchers that fly around and stare at you. It's almost exactly what they look like. Our current Watchers are a bit beefier and look a little bit more armored than this leaked one, but this probably fits with how they decided to up-armor all of the Illuminate characters that are in the game. The last leaked model we have here that I want to talk about is 100% the Harvester. This thing here looks almost identical, but there is a couple interesting differences that I want to point out. Now, if you look at this leaked model of Harvester from a few months ago, it looks very decayed. It's got random bits of metal sticking out. Around its face, it seems like it's got things hanging off of it. And you look at our new Harvester, it looks much more polished and put together. Around its face, there's no dangly things. There's these two vertical doohickeys, for lack of a better word, that seem to help focus the laser. And if you look at the legs, they are spot on. Everything looks cleaned up and put together. And also you notice that the feet are different as well. The old Harvester seemed to have these claw feet, and the new Harvester's got little spikes. I think the character developers at Arrowhead, as well as perhaps the Illuminate themselves, decided to move away from these hoof-looking feet of the old Harvester and move to the claw ones of the current one we see today, because those hoof-looking feet would probably have a tough time getting up hills and whatnot. This is a very top-heavy machine, and it would have a really difficult time climbing up a hill, climbing over large rocks and stuff, whereas these clawed feet, it can just spike into the ground and plant itself. Hey! Who said that? Me! Down here! What do you want, little Helldiver? I want you to get to the point. I want you to tell me what kind of Illuminate I'm gonna have to face in the future. Oh, I did say I was gonna speculate on the new ones coming with the main fleet, because this is just the Vanguard fleet. You're right, sorry. Alright, get out of here. I'm gonna get to it. Now, these aren't my own theories, and they're based on nothing more than pure speculation, but what I am going to be basing the speculation on is not only these leaked images, but also some of the previous Illuminate that were in Helldivers 1. I've already done a video comparing the current-day Terminids to the Helldivers 1 bugs, and the current-day bots to the Helldivers 1 cyborgs. And I think it's time we kind of extrapolate here for the Illuminate and look at what kind of things might be added comparing to those Helldivers 1 Illuminate. And the first enemy that I think they're going to add when the main fleet shows up is not only something that's in the first game, but is backed up by a very clear leaked image, and that is what was previously known as the Illusionist. This Illusionist here back in Helldivers 1 was a force to be reckoned with. They actually even had a more threatening variant called the Council Member, but it's essentially just a leveled up version of the Illusionist, so I'm going to talk about him like one entity for the time being. Now, the Illusionist in the first game had a big bubble shield around it, and it would shoot explosive orbs at you. But that wasn't the reason it was the real threat. The real threat it had was its mind control powers. This Illusionist could confuse your controls. It would make you walk backwards. It would make you shoot in the wrong direction. It would mix up your stratagem inputs and cause you to call in the wrong things or not even be able to call in anything. We've already seen some of these mind control abilities in play, even though an enemy like this isn't on the battlefield yet, with the Cognitive Disruptor. The giant glowing towers in the middle of the battlefield and act kind of like the stratagem jammers the automatons have. Except these here don't prevent you from calling in stratagems, they just mix up the inputs for them and regularly cycle through what you actually need to input to call them down. Which I must say, has been quite a pain when I'm trying to reinforce my friends, and while I'm in the middle of typing it, it just switches to I'm supposed to be typing, and then I get taken out by something. I'm not traumatized. Maybe I am. But back to the enemy at hand, we don't have anything on the battlefield yet that confuses your walking controls or aiming controls like we did in Helldivers 1. I think that'll be a lot harder to do now because the game is, well, in 3D, whereas Helldivers 1 was in 2D. And I think maybe the Illusionist here will kind of slow down your aim or slow down your walking instead of totally confusing it like in the first game. And I'm fairly confident they're going to add this type of enemy to the game, whatever name they may give it, because take a look at this leaked model from a few months ago. It's got the fancy floating chair. It's likely got a bubble shield around it because you see that generator in the middle right there. And it's got the fancy Illuminate in the middle with all the extra robes that you don't see on the normal Overseers. This here is almost certainly going to function fairly similar to the Illusionist we had in the first game. The next type of enemy that I think is going to be added to the game in the future is what was known as the Hunter in Helldivers 1. This guy here was a sniper. He would stand in the back, spool up his arms together, and shoot a giant beam of light at you. It was actually nanobots, by the way, and it would knock you down in one hit. I think they're going to add an enemy like this to Helldivers 2 because it's kind of a niche in the game that hasn't filled yet. Both the Overseers like to get real up close to fight you. The flying ones will stay back a little further, but they're still fairly close, and they just have like a submachine gun on them and not a high damage weapon. And also, take a look at this leaked model here. If you see that big gauntlet on this guy, I think that's going to act kind of like the sniper channeling device to shoot beams of light at you, similar to how the Harvester does, but not a constant beam, just one quick burst. Now, we're going to stray from my theme in this video of using leaked images to predict what's coming in the future, and look solely at the previous game, because there's no leaked models for this next enemy I think they're going to add, and that is the Obelisk. Now, the Obelisk at first glance may look like a tank, But if you play the first game, you know that's not exactly how it operates. It actually will show up on the battlefield and then throw down a wall of energy that separates you from your Helldiver companions. Now, it was much easier to make this enemy function in Helldivers 1 when the game was only two-dimensional. Now in 3D, it'll be a little tougher, but I think they can still make it work. If this Obelisk were to show up, it could probably like land down on the battlefield, charge up, and if you don't kill before it charges up, it's going to throw a wall in either a random direction, or maybe try to go right at the Helldivers in order to split them up. This would be a really interesting enemy to add into Helldivers 2, as well as provide an interesting challenge to deal with. This could, say, block off objectives and separate you from your team, and I think if they were to add something like this, it would make the jetpack stratagem a whole lot more powerful, because you know, if it throws up a wall, oh well, you can use the jetpack and fly right over it. Now, that's all I've got for speculation on the Illuminate, but we're going to shift the scene a little bit here to talk about something else. And for that, you'll in fact see me here, the Nate behind the camera, with raccoon over the face, unfortunately, because I'm not doing a face reveal yet. You know, maybe someday, but not right now. But I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel and supported me this past year, because it's been an incredible 2024 for me. At the beginning of the year, we had less than 1,000 subscribers, and as I make this right now, we have over 11,000 here on the channel together, which is just absolutely insane to me. YouTube is something I always want to do for fun growing up. I grew up watching YouTubers and whatnot, and I always thought, man, that'd be fun to do. And now I've had the opportunity to try it, and I'm so glad you guys are enjoying the videos so much, because I love making them, and I love seeing that you guys enjoy them. So I just wanted to take a minute here to say thank you all so much, and I have some very big plans for 2025. Perhaps maybe a little merch if you guys are interested. I've got something in the pipeline right now, but don't want to give away too much. So stay tuned for that. And if you're looking to stay tuned for more videos, I'd love you considering that subscribe button. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next time. Actually, wait, one more thing before I go. I want to show you guys this cool thing I keep on my desk. Let me get it centered. I'm looking from the floor right now. It's a little raccoon in a trash can that pops out. All right, goodbye.